I'm going to talk a little bit about data type conversions and typecasting. When you're doing calculations and all of the data types are the same, then it's easy to figure out what might happen, but sometimes the data types might be different. You might add an integer to a double, or you might take a double and divide it by an integer. And so that's where we have to be concerned when the operands in an expression do not have the same data type. So we need to know the hierarchy of data types, and you can see it here. The highest is long double, then float, in unsigned long, then unsigned int, and int is the lowest. And it just has to do with the amount of space they require. So generally what you have to be aware of is that anything that is a lower data type, according to this chart here, will be promoted up to the higher data type. 95% of the time, it might be integers being promoted up to doubles. So what happens is type coercion. Coercion is when you have an automatic conversion of one operand to another data type, and that means that C++ handles this conversion for you. So promotion is when it'll convert it to a higher type, demotion is when it'll convert it to a lower type. So since this happens automatically, you need to be aware of when this happens. So here's a few rules. If you have characters or shorts or unsigned and they're in expressions with other data types, they'll be promoted up to integers. Now in this example, you can see there's a character variable here, A. And so if you had an expression like this, you have a character plus an integer. So it'll promote this up to an integer. When it promotes it to an integer, it'll promote it to its ASCII equivalent that we talked to in the last chapter. And you can find this in the appendix in the textbook. But capital letter A's equivalent is 65. So that would actually perform a calculation like this, 65 plus 1, and it would evaluate to 66. And this is something that might be used when you're trying to move through lists of strings of names and when you start to talk about alphabetizing things. When operating on values of different data types, the lowest one is promoted to a higher one. So in this example here, you see an integer x is 7, a double y is 2.5. So if you evaluate this expression, you have 7, which is an integer, divided by 2.5. It'll promote the 7 to a double, and then it'll perform the division. Now you have to be concerned when using the assignment operator. It'll evaluate whatever's on the right-hand side and store it into the variable on the left because that's what assignment operators do. So in this case, J is assigned the value of Y. We could see here Y is 7.5, but J is an integer, so it can only hold the 7. So after that statement executes, J will be 7. In this case, Z is assigned the value of I, so I is 5, Z is a double up above, so it's going to actually store the 5 as a double, or 5.0. And it happens one operator at a time. If we have an expression like this, division gets done first, so it'll divide 5 by 2, and that's integer division. It'll give you a 2, and then it will add 7.5 to that. Then it will promote the 2 up to a 2.0 and do the addition. So it doesn't look at the whole expression and convert everything to doubles right away. So be aware, when you use the assignment operator, if you're putting a double into an integer, you might lose some of your data. And also this, it doesn't change the value at all. It just changes it for the expression. So if you do some type of type coercion to, this 2, it doesn't change the 2, only for the expression itself.